Good morning. Good morning. I'm Mr. Bitcoin Maxi. We're all Bitcoin Maxis. Now, have you all ever wondered why some Bitcoin investors seem obsessed with owning exactly 0.21 Bitcoin? Now, it's not a random number, right? It's definitely not just another crypto flex. This tiny fraction could represent one of the most strategic positions you can take in the digital asset space. And by the end of this video, ladies and gentlemen, you'll understand exactly why smart money is racing to secure this precise amount, as you should be too, not financial advice. Now let's dive into the mathematics that make 0.21 Bitcoin so incredibly significant. Bitcoin has a hard cap, right, of 21 million coins that will ever exist. That is what we know. This isn't just a nice round number chosen by Satoshi Nakamoto for aesthetics. It's a carefully designed scarcity mechanism that creates one of the most fascinating wealth distribution puzzles in human history, right? So when you own 0.21 Bitcoin, you're holding exactly 1/10 millionth of the total Bitcoin supply. Now, I want you all to think about that for a moment. If Bitcoin achieves global adoption as a store of value or medium of exchange, you would own 1/10 millionth of the entire monetary network. Now, that's like owning a fraction, right? Of all the gold ever mined or a piece of every dollar in circulation, which is crazy to think about. But here's where it gets really interesting. The global population is approaching 8 billion people. It's a lot. This means by holding 0.21 Bitcoin, you're positioning yourself to own more than 80% of what would be an equal distribution on a global scale, right? So the scarcity becomes even more dramatic when you consider lost coins. Now, cryptocurrency research suggests that between 3 to 4 million Bitcoin are permanently lost due to forgotten passwords, also corrupted hard drives, I believe, and deceased holders who never shared their private keys. Now, some estimates push this number even higher. Now, if we assume 3.5 million Bitcoin are lost forever, the actual circulating supply drops to roughly 17.5 million coins. Now, with this adjusted supply, right, 0.21 Bitcoin represents an even larger percentage of the available coins. You're not just holding a mathematical curiosity anymore, okay? You're holding a meaningful stake in what could become the world's primary digital store of value, which I truly believe it is, as you all should as well. The institutional adoption narrative adds another layer of significance to this amount. Major corporations like Tesla, MicroStrategy, and Square have allocated billions of dollars to Bitcoin. Now, these companies aren't just buying small amounts, right? We've heard that on the news. They're purchasing thousands of Bitcoin at a time. As more institutions enter the market, the available supply for individual investors continues to shrink. Now, I want you all to consider this scenario, okay? If just 1% of global wealth managers decided to allocate 5% of their portfolios to Bitcoin, the demand would far exceed the available supply. Now, in this environment, owning 0.21 Bitcoin puts you all ahead of the vast majority of individual investors who might only be able to afford smaller fractions. Now, the psychological aspect of 0.21 Bitcoin ownership, now that can be understated. There's something powerful about owning a round number that relates directly to Bitcoin's total supply. It's easier to remember, easier to track, and creates a clear milestone for investors to work towards. Now, the psychological anchoring effect has led to 0.21 Bitcoin becoming a popular accumulation target in online Bitcoin communities. Now, from a dollar cost averaging perspective, right? 0.21 Bitcoin represents a substantial but achievable goal for many middle class investors. Now, at current price levels, this amount requires a significant commitment but remains within reach for those willing to invest consistently over time. Now, I'll tell you all about dollar cost averaging, which is important. Okay. It's large enough to potentially generate life changing wealth if Bitcoin appreciates significantly, yet small enough that the average investor can realistically, in my opinion, accumulate it. Now, the network effects surrounding Bitcoin ownership also favor those who reach meaningful thresholds like 0.21 Bitcoin. Now, as Bitcoin's price increases, smaller holders often feel pressure to sell portions of their holdings, which I never recommend. Those with larger positions have more flexibility to hold through volatility and benefit from long term appreciation, which is what I recommend. Tax implications add another dimension to consider. In many jurisdictions, holding Bitcoin, for over a year, qualifies for long term capital gains treatment, which typically offers more favorable tax rates than short term trading. Having 0.21 Bitcoin gives you a substantial enough position to make long term holding strategies more impactful. Now, the Lightning Network, right, and other Bitcoin scaling solutions also become more relevant as your holdings increase. While you can participate in these networks with any amount of Bitcoin, having 0.21 Bitcoin provides more flexibility for opening payment channels and participating in more advanced Bitcoin financial services. Now, international monetary instability continues to drive Bitcoin adoption worldwide. In countries experiencing currency devaluation or capital controls, right? Bitcoin serves as a hedge against local monetary policy. 0.21 Bitcoin represents significant value in most global economies and could serve as meaningful financial insurance against local currency risks. Now, the generational wealth transfer aspect deserves attention as well, in my opinion. Bitcoin's divisibility means it can be easily passed to heirs, and 0.21 Bitcoin represent a meaningful inheritance that could appreciate substantially over decades. Now, unlike traditional assets, right, that may require a complex legal structure to transfer, Bitcoin can be passed along with relative simplicity, right? Now, environmental and energy considerations are increasingly important in Bitcoin discussions as well. As the network becomes more efficient and renewable energy adoption increases, Bitcoin's sustainability profile improves. Holding 0.21 Bitcoin positions you to benefit from these improvements while supporting a network that's actively working toward carbon neutrality. All right. Now, the global reserve currency transition represents perhaps the most significant long term opportunity for Bitcoin holders. If Bitcoin eventually challenges traditional reserve currencies or becomes widely accepted for international settlements, early holders of meaningful amounts like 0.21 Bitcoin could benefit enormously from this monetary evolution. So, 0.21 Bitcoin isn't just a number, right? This is what we know. It's a strategic position that acknowledges Bitcoin's scarcity. It anticipates future demand and positions you among the early adopters of what could become the world's primary digital money. Now, whether you're already working towards this goal or just starting to consider Bitcoin as an investment, understanding why this specific amount matters could influence your entire approach to digital asset accumulation. Now, the question just isn't whether you should own Bitcoin, but whether you'll secure your 0.21 Bitcoin before the rest of the world realizes what you already know, right? Which is what's important. 0.21 is something that I really recommend everybody to strive for, no matter where you're at. If you have 0.21, right? Get to another 0.21. Keep making that goal 0.21, which is important to recognize. So let me know in the comments. I love reading everybody's comments, where you're at, how much you currently have, if you have 0.21, or what your goal is and what your thoughts is on 0.21 Bitcoin. It's Mr. Bitcoin Maxi. We're all Bitcoin Maxis. If you made it this far into the video, thank you. I appreciate you all for the love and support, and ultimately just supporting the channel. You know, it's crazy. I've grown this channel in 8 days to over 300 subs, which is crazy. So shout out to all of the OG Bitcoin Maxis here on the channel. And if you're new here, consider hitting that subscribe button and join the Bitcoin Maxi crew. I'll see you on the next one. Have a good day.